Hello, welcome to another edition of Around Town. I'm your host, Larry Crippen. Hope you're having a good time. We're going to have a good time here. We're going to find out about what's going on at the Texas Prison Museum. As you know, that is right here in Huntsville. And we have along with us, its Director, David Stacks. Welcome to the program, David.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad that you showed up here. Tell us about what brought you to the Texas Prison Museum to be a manager.
Well, I am a retired employee of the state of Texas prison system, and I enjoyed the history that I learned while I was there as an employee. I enjoyed the history, basically making history, being part of history. And as a result of that, I was asked to sit on the board at one time there at the Prison Museum, and that kind of led into the position I have now as a director there at the Texas Prison Museum. So that's kind of how that came about.
How many people on your staff, David?
Well, I wish I had more. I've got myself. I'm a full-time employee. I have one other full-time employee. I have 3 part-time employees. Then I have several other part-time employees that work in the gift shop.
Tell us about the history of the Texas Prison Museum. Whose idea was it?
Well, the idea started with some of the local residents here, along with the leadership at the time of the Texas Department of Corrections. And they felt there was a need to capture and retain that history. And it became incorporated and started in 84, became incorporated, and they opened up their first museum downtown in 1989 in a very small building that was rented there just south of the square. And I think our main attraction at that time, which it still is today, Old Sparky, the electric chair, and that was basically the biggest artifact that they had at the time. But we have been very blessed with our local community and the state of Texas visitors coming by and helping support our museum. We have now grown to right at 8,000 square feet of showroom place, or space, I should say. And we also have a conference room that we rent out and also allow others to use.
And, you recently expanded it. How about any future changes ahead?
I don't see any in future growth as far as building space. I do see us we're in the process of changing and trying to make our visitors have a little bit better experience when they come. One of the goals we have this year is to make our exhibits come alive. And when I say that, we're going to try and establish an audio exhibit where our guests can come in. If they have a smartphone, they can go to the QR on the exhibit and looking at the physical exhibits that are in there, and the QR code would light up a narrative explaining the exhibits inside that artifact area.
Fill us in on some of the items in each exhibit the museum features.
Well, we have, as I already mentioned, the electric chair. That is a big draw. That chair was used from 1924 to 1964. Everybody wants to go see Old Sparky. But we also have, we're coming up on the 50th anniversary, believe it or not, of the Carrasco siege. And we have the weapons that were actually used and smuggled into the Walls unit for that siege. We have them there along with some of the other items that the Carrasco and his 2 henchmen wanted to use or have negotiated with them. We have that on display. We also have one of the weapons that was used by law enforcement that was used in the retaking of the siege. We also have a pistol that was taken off the lap of Bonnie when they were exterminated over in Louisiana. Our director at the time, Lee Simmons, was the one who kind of orchestrated that as a result of a high-profile escape back in 1933. So we have a lot of artwork in there that inmates have done. We have one interesting picture that comes to mind right now. It's a portrait of Bonnie and Clyde, and the inmate painted it with coffee grounds. Really? Very, very interesting to think that someone could use that and just have most people like to drink their coffee. He likes to paint with his, I guess. But we have a lot of interesting things in there that shows the creativity of the men and the women that are having to take a little time out for their bad deeds and correct themselves.
They have a lot of time to become creative in there. There's all kinds of things like that on display also.
Yes, we do. We have a lot of soap carvings that they've made things out of. We have a chess set that was made out of soap. We have, probably your younger audience won't remember this, but my generation and older will certainly remember the Joe Camel cigarette packages. We have a one-of-a-kind Joe Camel cigarette purse that a guy made, and it's just so meticulously well made. I couldn't even tell you how many packages that are in there, but it's showroom quality. It is really, really a neat thing. The other thing that we do is we do have what I think a very fabulous gift shop. We offer items off the shelf that are stocked, but we also can offer custom-made items for our guests if they want to do that, whether it be a leather item, whether it be a metal piece or a wooden piece.
And, David, what are the hours of the museum and the prices of admission?
Our hours are, the museum opens at 10 in the morning, closes at 5, and that is on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. On Sundays, we're open from 12 noon to 5. Of course, we're closed for the major holidays, but we post those on our website. You can go to our website at www.txprisonmuseum, prisonmuseum.org, and see those hours. And we post historical events that happened that particular week at some time in a year. We continue to educate people through our website as well as just a museum.
Well, Director of the Texas Prison Museum, David Stacks, thanks for being our guest.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.